Well, it's March, May, something. Okay, here we are. It's June 17th, and I've got my two trays of plants. One was grown under the LEDs, that's this one, and one was grown under the regular greenhouse conditions, that's this one. First glance would say that they're not terribly different. Let's take a look at some of these individual plants one by one. Let me grab out, let's start with these guys. Okay, so this was, okay, and then this one are from the outdoor tray, greenhouse tray. This one and this one are from under lights. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but this plant looks actually quite nice, and it's got some good color on it. This one's got good color on it. This one, the plants are about the same size, maybe a little bit smaller. The color's not as bright. I could easily sell either of this group of plants. Here's a little blooming down here. I don't know if you can see, those are the flowers for this little pilea. This is Moon Valley. But this one is also blooming, so I don't think we've set back flowering in any way by either treatment. Okay, let me pause this and let me get the next set of plants out. Okay, now here's same thing, LED on this side, under greenhouse on this side over here. Different angles. These plants are pretty equivalent, and they're all going to look a little bit different. This one from the greenhouse, I'd say, is slightly fuller and just a little bit nicer than the one from LEDs, but not substantially different. Okay, definite difference here. This is the greenhouse one. This is the one from the LED experiment. You make the call. Hard to say. This is actually the only plant in here that really looks substantially different than the greenhouse grown plant, and there could have just been something that happened to this plant individually, but I don't know. Use caution with the Cryptanthus. Let's get that over there. Let's see, what do we got in here? Here is that Tolumnia under LEDs, and this is the Tolumnia from the greenhouse. Pretty much the same, but notice that there's that nice purple color on the LED one. The purple color in these Tolumnias is a really usually a good indicator that they're getting enough light to bloom. Now this one hasn't set up blooms yet. It probably is a little out of season, but it's grown pretty well under the lights. And then this one has just got a little bit of the red color. I don't know if you can see growing in the greenhouse. Okay, button ferns. Let's back up well enough so you can see them. Again, LED on the left and greenhouse on the right. There isn't really any difference between these. These are a little bit lighter in color. I don't know if that's just random or if that's a real function of the lights. They're about the same size. These are a little bit. This one got a little bit taller, but no, this I wouldn't be able to tell these apart if I mixed them up on the bench. Okay, this is a Neovirgilia cross. This is a Lilliputiana crossed with, well, good question, really. It's small growing. LEDs on the left. You know, if the camera will pick it up, the color is marginally better on the LED lights. At least the color of the leaves is closer to what I'd like to see to have these growing at their premium. But these ones under the greenhouse look pretty darn good too. Since these are seedlings, I don't really expect them to all look exactly alike. As you can see, this one back here has grown a bit bigger than the rest of them, which are pretty much the same size. So for it seems to be pretty equivalent between these. Boy, my camera's doing weird focusing things. Alright, pause. Unfortunate result with the Korean rock ferns. Only one of them looks like it's even remotely in sellable condition. Most of these are probably pretty dead. One problem with this little fern is that it's really sensitive to drying out hard, and it looks like I didn't do a very good job watering either tray of these. One thing I did notice when I was running the LED lights is that the color, since the colors are wonky, which you can see in that original video, it's really hard to just look at the plants and see if they need watering. You really need to touch them, because they can't tell from looking at the soil color. So anyway, Korean rock for an overall failure to get any real data on that one. Okay, here's our peperomia little red trees. You can see that under LEDs, the weeds that got in there did really well, are some sort of cabbagey relative, and I have no idea what that is over there, some sort of ditchweed. The plant here in the greenhouse is obviously much bigger, but there could be because of light, or it could be because there's competition here with these weeds growing in here. I do like the color on the one under lights, the leaf color, a little bit better. So I could go either way on that one. Okay, we're going to do 2 sets at a time on this one. We've got, this is the Dendrobium Aussie Chip. That cute little one, has little flowers on it. Maybe in a second I'll go find a flower and take a picture of it. This is LEDs, greenhouse. I think the LEDs look a lot better than the greenhouse ones. Just they're a little glossier green. They look a little bit more I don't know, robust than these. They all looked about the same when they went in, so I can't complain too much about those. Now in back are my little Cattleya. This is a standard yellow Cattleya called Dowiana. Yellow flower. This is a huge Cattleya, so these are just baby seedlings. No real difference, I'd say, between them. So overall, pretty good. Here, just for the record, that's the flower on that little Aussie chip. That thing has been on there for at least 2 months. The flower's starting to get a little old, but boy, that flower lasts a long time. Cute little thing. Okay, next. Alright, this is a cute little mini purple cross. Maybe slightly bigger on the greenhouse ones. No particular difference. They haven't grown all that much since I stuck them in there. Here are those 2 frags I put in. Remember, these are, I couldn't match these originally, so they were totally different. You can go back to the original video and see. The youngest growths here, I don't think those are particularly new in the last 2 months, but they look pretty clean. The older ones are a little bit spotty on the greenhouse plant. And then this is the LED lights plant, and it looks fine to me. It's hard to tell on these guys, but sometimes when you feel them down in here, you can feel if there's a flower spike initiating, and I'd say they're about, I give it about 70% chance that both of those are going to have a flower spike in there that's going to bloom in the next couple months. It's still a little early to tell until they actually stick their little heads out. But frags seem to be okay under the LEDs. Here's those multifloral paths, same basic result. These things are indistinguishable from each other. Still way too young to bloom, but I can't say that I can see any real difference between these guys. And while I've got the camera on, let's move those back. This is the complex one from the greenhouse, and this is the complex one from under lights. Again, pretty remarkably indistinguishable from each other. Leaf color is the same. Don't see any evidence of new flower spikes yet, but they look about the same. And then I had one more little species, Maudier type. There's the LED one. Oop. And there's the other one. This is Purpuratum. And no real difference there either. That's not an extra growth, that's just a leaf that's turned the wrong way. So both of those are still single growths. Again, in 2 months you don't expect these things to turn into huge plants. So I'm not surprised by that. Okay, getting near the end here, this is our 2 little jewel orchids, the Nectochyllus that we put in there. If the camera keeps focusing into different planes, you'll see all of the plant. Greenhouse under lights. The under lights one is a little bit more compact, but I can see the markings are not as clear. The flower, not the flower, but the leaf color looks a little, what we orchid judges call muddy. Here we've got more distinct markings, and again, it's actually gotten a little too much light. You can see there's a little sunburn over there, and the edges of the leaves are just a bit yellower than I'd like to see. So More control under the LEDs for sure. Now what you can see here on this leaf, I don't think this was on there when we started. See those little holes right there? That right there is a slug or a snail that got in there. So LED lights don't seem to repel snails. I threw a little snail bait in there and I think it got the snails, but anyway, there's still some damage under the lights. Okay, almost done. These are our two little Tolumnias that we stuck in there. I just stuck them in the same tray. This is the LED one, and this is the greenhouse one. They look about the same. No real difference. I don't see any flower spikes or anything like that. So doesn't seem to have changed anything. Now over here is something really interesting, and I don't know if I can blame the lights or not. But let's see if I can back up so we can get them all in the picture. Again, always on the right is the greenhouse, and on the left is the LEDs. The LED plants look awesome compared to the greenhouse plants. And if you can see, I don't see any evidence of flower spikes on any of these guys here from the greenhouse, but I don't know if we can zoom in a little bit here. This has got two flower spikes coming up, wiggling there. Don't see any on that one or that one. This one's got at least one coming up. The plants look just greener and happier and all around fuller. These guys, see some little yellow patches, and they're just not as happy. Now there could be a lot of reasons for that, and one of the things I couldn't control in this little experiment was temperature. These Masdevallias, sol pleurothalids, even the warm growing ones, these are supposedly warmth tolerant, don't really like to get hot, and so we had a week and a half, 2 weeks of seriously high temperatures for the beginning of June. Last couple until this week, when it's been back to cold. So these could have suffered in the heat. These guys, of course, were in the basement under lights, where it's a pretty even, cool temperature. So that might be most of it. Although I can't say that the light hurt them in any way. So I actually think, just based on this little observation, that since summer's coming up, I'm going to move all my Masdevallias underneath the LED lights for the summer. I'm not saying LED lights are better than fluorescent lights. I think what I'm actually have concluded is that the basement is better than the greenhouse, but the LED lights certainly don't harm anything. Okay, so that's the conclusion of this little experiment. Not the world's best experiment. I'd like to do this under more controlled environment. Maybe when I get some new greenhouse growing areas set up, I can try to do that. I'd also like to compare the LEDs to just a regular T5 or T8 fluorescent light. I think we'd get fairly similar results. But overall, I'd say that there was not a lot of difference between the LED and the greenhouse. A couple things grew better in the greenhouse. The Cryptanthus and some of those other things, and then some things grew much better in the basement under the LEDs, which include these Masdevallias. So that's it.